Well, hello. Good afternoon to another exciting round of the brackets of the main tournament for Link to the Past Randomizer. We have actually two very excellent runners, Zelga versus Paraducks. This is game two for their series. Zelga has an early one-game lead over Paraducks, so Paraducks is definitely looking to take one for the win in order to extend his tournament life. Zelga, on the other hand, is definitely looking to close out the series, so definitely should be a really exciting match. I am joined here today with Drosy. Drosy, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm certainly looking forward to this. Should be a great race here. Of course, as you say, a lot on the line. We
Yeah.
will see if Paradox can make a comeback here, or if it's just Zelga's to run away with.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are, two very excellent runners. Unfortunately for game one, Zelga decided to visit Ice Rod Cave, versus, over Paradox, and Zelga found a sword, a very useful and necessary sword, and had actually that advantage for most of the game. And, there are just situations where you would really like to have that sword. For instance, Paradox, unfortunately, without the sword, had to end up doing hammer blind. Blind with the hammer, and that's a bit more difficult than if you just follow the script with the sword.
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, I've seen people do it well, but he can definitely get away from you.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, these guys are very practiced, but lots of things can happen. Especially in tournament race, you are things can happen where you sometimes might least expect it, even if you've practiced the fight 300 times or something like that. Okay,
And we are
let's.
underway here.
Yeah. So early powder, as the first check, always really nice to see. It does eventually open up a check that we can make, provided we have a hammer or a mirror once we get some Dark World access, but it's also just a really nice safety. 3 hearts is certainly nothing to sneeze at. And so if we ever see any anti-fairies, we can definitely get some health refill along the way.
Yeah, of course. Now the question is, what's Uncle about to give us? And I looked away at the key moment. Oh, Bo, clearly.
Yes, we got a bow. Seemingly common starts, or I don't know, more often than not, common starts for these standards seeds. Of course, bow is going to give us pretty early access to Eastern Palace. As of course we've just seen on Paradox's side, Green Pendant is vanilla at Eastern Palace. What a surprise! We
So,
have a bow
so
start.
they might not be rushing to do that. We also
Yeah.
saw a 5/6 crystal at Desert and a regular crystal at Hera.
Okay. Yeah, so of course, bow is really nice. I think one of the better weapons, at least to go clear through escape. You've got plenty of ammunition, right? You've got 30 full arrows as opposed to maybe like something like 10 bombs. Or, like you have to kind of rely on your very limited magic bar going through escape. And most enemies end up dying in 1 or 2 arrows, as we actually see a pretty nice kill on Paradox and Zelka's side to get their key from the blue guard.
Yeah, and speaking of key, getting that key in that first chest means we're going to be getting items for a while now, hoping that the map doesn't show up and we can just skip Sank chest.
Yeah, so speaking of course, we see actually both runners looks like trying to get farming a little bit of guards in order to hopefully get some bombs as drops. We're talking about that map.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would like to be able to access the back. We now know 3 items in the back of escape, so hopefully we are going to be able to get some drops sooner rather than later. We did see a heart come out of the green guard, so there is some potential there. But we're gonna have to kill a couple more guards in order to see. So nice ball and chain guard kills on both runners' side. 4 arrows, means imminent death, of course, for him. A piece of heart only at Zelda Cell. Nothing super useful as of this moment, but it is pretty early in the game. You're definitely not going to say no to some early safety.
Yeah, especially if you can find 3 more.
Yep. They're scattered about somewhere, of course. is hard item pool as of the. It's pretty stand. It's the same for every single race for this entire tournament. We are going to be capped our health at 14 maximum hearts and a limited number of heart pieces and heart containers. Certainly nothing probably to worry about because everything is in the pool. Eventually, when we kind of hit that cap, everything's going to turn into green 20s instead.
I'm missing silvers already.
Yeah, that is unfortunately one of the nice luxuries that we are not going to ever see this entire tournament. No silvers, no gold sword, no mirror shield, although people are probably happier for that one, probably over some of the other upgrades that we're not going to see.
Now, it's also worth noting that since we were discussing bombs and backup escape, the guards have a prize pack that contains a lot of arrows, which is nice for replenishing your supply. It is not particularly nice if you want to find bombs because there are no bombs in this pack. So
unfortunately, yeah. So.
We're going to have to try farming rats and hope that they leave bombs, or maybe that Dark Cross has bombs in it.
Yeah. I mean, so this is actually, really good knowledge. I'm sure Zelga and Paraducks both know their prize packs very well. And so this is good knowledge for them. They know that if a prize pack doesn't have bombs, then they don't have to worry about potentially like, oh, did I get kind of like screwed over by enemy RNG drops, and I'm not gonna get a bomb, but my opponent's gonna get a bomb. It's never a great feeling. But if there's nothing here to be had, they know that both of them have to come back for and kind of take the same time commitment.
That said, you could see each of them kill a couple of ropes just to replenish their ammo because there are a lot of arrows in that prize pack.
Did you just see the skill precision that Zelga did to kill the key rat? It is not an easy feat. Oh, but we've got some bombs.
They've got like the big bomb prize pack. Oh, and Paraducks is skipping that. Let's hope he does them in this room.
Yeah, potentially maybe they're just easier to kill, and of course every enemy drop is going to be 50-50. Oh, what a nice reward. I mean, this is like our uncle back here in the back of Escape. He just kind of transplanted himself, giving us a sword and a shield.
And a whole lot of money as a bonus.
Yeah. I guess our uncle was really rich. And gave us our full inheritance right up front.
So the Paraducks, I'm sure, especially since he had to farm quite a few rats before he got the bomb drop, is happy that he got it in the end.
Yeah, and we do see that sword being put to great use. No longer have to waste the arrows and try to get bombs. Zelga getting our last item, from Sanctuary. I believe that was an attempted chest turn. Zelga, we're watching.
So let's see. Looks like Zelga is gonna skip a lumberjack check. Let's see if Paraducks does it or waits until he has boots.
Yeah, so skipping lumberjack I think is pretty common, especially if you don't have the fortune of getting boots right out of Escape. Of course, the lumberjack item does require boots for you to get eventually, so that's why sometimes runners like to put that off. And it's also just kind of a long check if you have to walk there by yourself.
Also, this seed really wants us to have arrows.
Yeah. Yeah. Too bad that, at least, so Paradox probably wouldn't even pick them up, even though he does have 24 arrows to his name. Probably not going to be too important, especially if we're even going to Easter Palace eventually, where we're just going to get more arrows.
Now, Paraducks picked up that piece of heart. Zelga didn't, because this is hard item pool. There are 24 pieces of heart in the game, but after you collect 16, the other 8 will all turn into green 20s. So Zelga's probably thinking, I'm probably going to get 16 anyway, and maybe I'll get a health refill at an opportune time later in the game by picking up a 4th piece of heart.
Yeah, and Zelga is a very brave runner. He is, he's very familiar with spoiler lock races, and that in turn actually translates very well to kind of low percent. So I'm sure he's very confident in 3 hard execution.
Yes, considering his team name is the Spoilers, and he is the Ladder Season 6 Spoiler Champion.
Oh yeah, that's right. Alright, so ransacking Blind's basement, nothing really of note. We did get a unique 10 bomb prize that we normally would see in our uncles, which as part of a standard start. Other than that, though, I guess they both got their quivers refilled.
I mean, the seed's been giving a lot of arrows, as we said.
Yeah, and so, of course, slowly but surely, we are nickel and diming our way to closer to Zora money. Not in logic yet. No flippers, no glove. We have a master sword. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, speaking of things in logic, that puts us a lamp away from AGA access.
Lucky us. And we haven't actually seen if there's anything notable on Lumberjack quite yet. But if once our runners get that layup, I'm sure it'll be on the back of their heads, back of their minds.
And hey, if you didn't think you had enough arrows, you can spend $100 to get one artisanal arrow.
It is the only unique arrow in the entire game. I'm sure it'll look real swell when you actually end up firing it.
Definitely different from all the other packs of 10.
Of course. Alright, so unfortunately we're here in Kakariko. Nothing so far to speak of other than that master, so we don't have a bottle that we can check Sick Kid with. And we have not found a hammer yet, so we can't check powder.
Yeah, that early powder is just kind of tantalizing, but might be a while before we can actually use it for a check, though hey, we can use it on anti-fairies once we start entering dungeons and seeing anti-fairies. I mean, maybe they'll use it on a Cuke Man for shits and giggles.
I don't think I've seen any runner do that so far in this entire tournament. So speaking of more arrows, Rossi, we see more arrows on the race game that Zelga is completely not interested in. I mean, why would you be, right? You've already got the single arrow. All the other arrows just look pale in comparison.
I mean, I think the runners should fake flipper over to the capacity upgrade fairy just to buy more arrows.
They've got more than enough money to do so. Yeah. Alright, so nothing notable, basically anything Kakariko except for that Master Sword. So it looks like Paraducks and Zelga are going to follow a similar path, explore South Shore, and hopefully to get a better lead.
Well, nothing in the dam. Let's see if there's anything next to the dam. Yeah, so we were talking a bit about Zelga's background. We should mention Paraducks is definitely more of a question mark, certainly capable of pulling surprises. He took down both Incoherent and Kern in groups, and this is his first time in brackets.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and actually, so Paradox actually had quite the adventure in groups, right? Because so he faced Kern first, lost 0-2, faced Incoherent, won 2-0, and then faced Kern again and won 2-0.
Yeah, and it was a heck of a group too, because the Q1 and Q2 players were the ones who got eliminated, and the Q3 and Q4 players were the ones who advanced.
Yeah, I mean, just shows you, just basically how good everyone has basically come. I mean, it's like anybody in the top 128 basically had like a really solid chance to kind of advance into brackets, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure there are players who are favored, but anyone who's gotten this far is capable of surprising.
Yeah, speaking of, like, you just saw the great archery skills on Paradox's side, just sniping that mini Moldorm on the right side. Like, if you ever tried to hit mini Moldorms in general, you know that they're quite difficult, let alone with, like, arrows.
See, there was a Cuke Man. There are two more. Zelga could have powdered one of them, and we could find out what they say in Rando.
Something
I
tells
actually don't
me...
know what they say in Rando. Do you?
Did they even say anything? I guess I don't remember the last time I tried.
I only learned as an adult that they say something in vanilla.
Yeah, he might be trying, like, considering to try and save his magic, maybe for if he ever wants to try and maybe use a medallion later. They do take up pretty much 2 pips of magic.
Yeah, though I can't see why anyone would want to use Quake if you didn't absolutely have to open a dungeon.
So it looks like both Zelga and Paradox have remembered what happened in Game 1, so both of them are going to check Ice Rock Cave. No sword in this case, unfortunately, to be had, just a piece of heart. But, at least both runners are going to be thorough.
And just some money on Lake Hylia Island. Zelga not going to do any sort of Ancilla glitch to get in the water there. Looks like he's heading to the eastern area.
Yeah, looks like Paradox has a similar idea.
Yeah, they are really matching each other. I mean, I guess the seed is kind of limiting us. What else is in logic? Agena, and that's it.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, like, Agina is pretty out of the way, right? It's a really long walk just for one check, so ideally you wouldn't check it first. Hey, we found a book!
That'll
That,
bring us in that direction.
yeah, that is a really nice thing for both our runners, so they didn't have to make a separate check only just for, Akina. They can combine it with some Desert Palace access. Alright, looks like both runners, though, are going to walk out. Zelga is just a couple screens ahead of Paraducks on his way over to Eastern Palace. This is the green pendant. We've got the bow. For all we know, right, if the big key is not in its middle location, this dungeon is, well, technically still not in logic because we still need to be able to get to the back with some sort of light source. But, of course, I don't think a lamp or a fire rod at this point is going to deter both our runners from potentially going back there.
Yeah, though, if it doesn't show up in here, in terms of figuring out your meta, it can definitely be helpful to remember which items were in logic and which weren't.
That's true. And alright, so Zelga picking up a big key, so we know that we're at least going to be able to access the big chest coming up here. But
And
as we
maybe
said,
maybe it'll be the God Eastern, and we'll have useful items in the next 3 chests and
yeah,
not
that
have
would
to go
actually
to the left side.
yeah, no, that'll be quite nice. And within logic checks, we are running somewhat low on where we could actually find more progression. Oh, well, that's not quite the item we were looking for.
Yeah, now we can at least enter Desert. We don't have the boots, so Desert could be boots locked, but there's at least one check we can do there.
Yeah, we can explore what's inside Desert, and if our runners are feeling a bit more adventurous, they can just go a little bit over and check what at least is on Desert Ledge. Can't actually get it potentially.
Oh no,
Actually,
we
no,
can
they
get Desert
can't. No,
Ledge.
they can
I
get
forgot
it. Never
about
mind.
that.
Yeah. Hey, that's pretty important.
Yeah, now you're really hoping not to see the lamp for a bit. But you have to wonder, this is a pendant dungeon, but it's a green pendant, and of course the hospital is right there. Do you continue? Zelga's continuing.
Zelga looks like he is going to continue, and we're going to get a sneak peek at the vanilla big key chest. So I certainly have seen people gamble this chest. Sometimes it works out in their favor, sometimes it does not.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 play, and without boots and without lamp, it definitely takes a bit of time to go around and do all of it. You can see Zelga just kind of firing sword beams to get through.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of at least our dark rooms, this is probably among the easier ones, right? There's not going to be like too much danger, really. It's kind of the ones in the back that are definitely going to be much more dangerous.
And it was a waste of time.
If you had decided to gamble today, you would have definitely been rewarded. This would have, probably around like a minute-ish, something like that, especially with no boots. But both runners are taking the time to be thorough and making sure they don't leave anything behind, so it's not going to be any time lost or gain.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Paraducks is doing all this, because when you're the runner who's up a game, like Zelga is, runners in that situation tend to be more thorough because they figure, well, if being thorough wastes me a bit of time and I lose because of that, I'm up a game anyway. Runners who are down a game usually try to take more risks because they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, so yeah, as we did see or not see on Zelga's side, made it through this dark room, with relative ease. Looks like Paradox might be having a little bit more issue. Unfortunately, he needs to find that Igor that has the key. And yeah, this is a really great decision by him. Basically, just resetting the room so he can predict basically where the Igor is going to be.
Yeah, I think he even took down the wrong Igor the first time in.
Yeah, looks like he did get the key this time, so he's going to. Oh no! Oh no! I'm not sure what he got sniped by. Most likely it was the other eye.
And we found either the silvers or a mail upgrade as the Armless Knight's reward.
Our first of our green 20s, looks like. Yeah, unfortunately, Paradox took an untimely death right before basically the upstairs of Eastern. Looks like he is going to basically nocturne. And so this isn't going to be a big deal. We know that it's going to, the Armos dice had 20 rupees, a surprise. We're going to see Zelga turn in the green pendant immediately. So if this is nothing, this is going to be really no time loss for Paradox.
And it's nothing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So Paraducks is off to doing our only remaining checks in logic. This has been really linear so far. You do the standard checks, and we got Moon Pearl out of Eastern, so that was required. Oh, there's the lamp.
I'm sure Paradox would have loved to have that lamp. Yeah, so hopefully the Eastern death doesn't weigh too much on his mind. At this point, it's just probably going to be more of a mental weight than anything else.
But yeah, we know it's not going to cost him anything, and the only way it costs him something is if he goes back for it.
Right. So, okay, what are we really hoping for? We're going to hope for boots in desert? Yeah, then we can clear it with that lamp? Oh, Zelka's checking Gina, that's right. We had totally forgotten about this. Looks like Paradox is going to at least try and see what is in store for us in desert.
Okay, that small key means we at least have the 2 checks on the right, and if we find the big key there, then desert isn't boots locked. Though without a glove, we still can't do land mows.
Zelka has ballooned his health all the way up to 6 hearts over Paradox's 5.
Well, I guess this is an Agaseed, folks, because the big key has to be on the torch, and that lamp is the last item we can get in logic.
That is such a great sign, I guess, for... I'm sure these guys are thrilled to be going up Aga Tower with 5 or, I guess, 6 hearts, potentially.
Hey, at least it's with Master Sword rather than Fighter Sword and Cape.
Yeah, so at least, for those of you who are more maybe familiar with, like, the NMG, like, speedrun version, it's probably not that much different in terms of health. Unfortunately, we don't actually have boots, so it will be slightly different execution. Good thing the Paradox has remembered. I mean, it is also just an unfortunate placement of that small key, right? Because, Zelga is looks like he's gonna be a little bit more efficient, just because he doesn't have to, he did a Gina first, and so he doesn't come back to the right side after he picks up his lamp. He can just save and quit and then go back to the castle. Oh, do we have, actually, do we have the back of escape?
No, we did the back of escape.
Oh, you're right.
We talked about the farming for bombs.
Yes, that's right. I had forgotten the fact that they had basically gotten their first sword and shield and 300 bucks.
But yes, so since it's looking like an Agaseed, we'll do this a little bit early. If you want to put any points on blue balls from Aghanim. Doing it a bit differently this time, basically 2 or 3, which are the most common numbers, against the field of anything else. And yes, Paraducks is going for that tower climb. He's not going to try to do out-of-logic flippers checks. I mean, who knows? Maybe out-of-logic flippers checks would save you an Aga play, but I don't think Zelga wants to risk that either.
Yeah, no, certainly I would imagine Zelga is going to try and follow logic. He's been pretty consistent for that, for the most part. Like, I haven't really seen him break logic all that much, unless, it's, like, kind of convenient for him. Maybe Paradox just wants to try and just play his game, right? Whatever happens for him. And we're already seeing the benefit of having a Master Sword here versus a Fighter Sword and Cape. In order to enter a Castle Tower, we can do spins, right, which is basically Temper Sword damage, which can take care of guards pretty quickly. Paradox, unfortunately, we don't actually have his audio, but whenever there are sword beams, that pretty much awakens like a ton of guards in that dark maze, and it's not a fun time. Although he managed to get through pretty unscathed, it definitely does unfortunately take a little bit of damage in the next room.
Yeah, now it's interesting that they had totally different approaches for that first room in Castle Tower. The Paraducks did probably a more common approach, get the 2 ball and chain guards to cluster and then do a double Master Sword spin on them. Zelga was not waiting for that and just using arrows. Either one works quite well.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we are seeing how nice it would be if we could have Temper Sword, especially with these red guards. So in the post-Aga world, those red guards and blue guards are going to be very populous among the Hyrulean civilians and military.
Yeah, good thing we don't need to go back to the eastern area, hopefully, because there are quite a few of them around Sahasrara's hut after beating Aga.
I guess I could kind of understand like the extra security, but it's like he's already left, right? Like he's not there anymore, so. Zelga had a pretty nice circle of pots there, being able to use that boomerang.
Yeah, I think in general, Zelga's arrow strats have caught him up a little bit of time compared to Paraducks using the sword.
Yeah, also as demonstrated, Paradox still has 30 arrows to his name. Zelga, actually, because he used a bunch of arrows, only has 14.
Now, this seed is going to continue to be linear because the only thing we can do after we beat Aga is go to pod. We can't even go to Catfish.
We literally have nothing. You're right, Jossie. No hammer, no glove, no flippers. Like the only thing we can do is walk. I guess good thing we have tons of money, so we can at least 4 pods entry fee.
And who knows, maybe it'll give us a glove and a mirror, and then we can combine Catfish and Zora.
I would also like to see some boots so they can at least get there quicker.
Boots would be nice. Boots would let us finish Desert if we can find a glove, too.
So, unfortunately, I haven't been counting poop balls. Have you been counting poop balls, Drossie? I saw at least 1, so that's 2.
I think that's the second. Well, we can back out the number because Paraducks is now at the 2nd lightning strike. So if this one doesn't kill Aga, it has to have been more than 3. It was 3.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I also see Bandman, in chat telling us our tracker for the day.
So what is on Pyramid? Anything useful? No. To pod we go.
So this is so reminiscent of NMG. Just come off right at the pyramid, and where are you gonna go? You're gonna go through Pod Overworld to go pay off Kiki. Unfortunately, we don't have boots. Probably the biggest difference for these 2 runners.
So, thought we'd put another prediction out there. Are they gonna pick up a glove in Pod? Or is the progression in Pod something else and they'll have to find the glove elsewhere?
Yeah, we have to find something here, right? It's got to be a glove, it's got to be a hammer, maybe we get hook shot and flippers.
Could find the flute and then go up Light Death Mountain, I don't know.
Jeez. I mean, that's like breadcrumbing at that point, right? It's like we get a flute so we can get like a couple more checks up in Death Mountain. Alright, so Paradox, first of between Zelga and himself, into Pod. We do have the bow, so we're not going to be worried about getting locked out of Pod. It is not boost locked, or boost locked, bow locked. Can you tell I have boots on my mind, Jossie? I just really want these runners to be able to go fast.
I mean, I don't blame you. Especially since we know we will need to get them, Desert Say Crystal and Boots Lock.
Yeah, I mean, so at least, both runners know that this is pretty much their only option. Going around pod without a mirror is somewhat more tedious. But at least, the good thing is that they only have 6 warps. So death warping should not be too big of an issue, considering they are in Dark World, where enemies, do significant more damage to them.
Yeah, so small key in the bridge chest. This is kind of the standard routing. Use that, follow the key trail to vanilla big key chest and see if there's anything there. And just more keys.
We're definitely expecting at least 4 here in the front. We have not seen anything else, so...
Keys all the way down, I guess. Maybe it'll be one of those rare 6 keys in the front.
6 keys? That would be pretty amazing. Just keep building the suspense for us. Looks like Paraducks is actually intentionally probably taking some damage, prepping for that death warp. 2 hearts of damage already from the Bread Mimics.
We didn't specifically mention this earlier when the runners did their map checks, but thank you to Bandman for catching it, that our other 2 pendants are Skullwoods and Misery Mire, and Swamp is our other 5/6 crystal.
Hey, Trossi, Paradox just found our first piece of progression, and that, of course, is the fire. I mean, it is, of course, the glove. We wish the fire shield was progression, but in this case, it's not.
Looks like Zelga's about to get it too, and yeah, without the hammer, you have to death warp out of here. Zelga, you can see he's taking a few hits intentionally to get his health down. Well, I should say without the hammer or the mirror.
Yeah, and it's always kind of nice to see a non-heart container or piece, because when you get that, you're like, oh man, is it going to refill all my health so I have to start death warping again? Thankfully, of course, it's only a shield this time, which is going to be the maximum shield upgrade we're going to see in this game.
Now, of course, without that hammer, we can do everything except the boss in here. May or may not find more progression.
And certainly, there's not much else, left. So certainly very reasonable for both runners to, at least finish up with the cannon pod. And, maybe, hey, for all they know, they're going to find a hammer here. Not in the basement yet, but we do know that there's going to be an item left in Harmless Hellway.
Yeah, the glove alone doesn't give us that much. It gives us Catfish and Zora. It gives us the first 2 checks on Light Death Mountain, namely Old Man and Spec Rock. Hey, there's Bugnet, though. That's clearly our progression.
Yes. Well, I only wish that they had a bottle and wanted to do anything with that Bugnet for. Because they already got the powder, right? That was the first check of the game. So, berries are definitely not going to be an issue for these guys.
Well, we knew the big key had to show up in Dark Maze because it wasn't anywhere else. And Paradox again setting up a death warp here. So Helma has an item, which we can't get.
Last thing, what are we going to get out of pod?
Paradox?
Okay. Alright, maybe he just got accidentally sucked in that door.
Okay, so basically we have Catfish, Zora, and 2 checks on Death Mountain that got open to us, and one of those has to have our next progression.
Great. Because these are super convenient locations to go check when you don't have the flute or boots.
I'm sure the runners are just loving how linear this seed is.
Yeah. Well, we might have a bit of divergence. Where is Elkin going? Is he going up the mountain? Because it looks like Paradox is going to walk out and potentially do some catfish.
Yeah, now without the mirror, Zelga can at least do 2 checks for his play, and Paradox is only going to be able to do 1.
Oh man, Paradox though needs to be a bit careful on pod overworld. So Dark World is not kind. Those Snapdragons do 3 hearts of damage. The Ropas do 2. So the fact that he's only on 6 hearts basically essentially means he's one hit KO at this point. So hopefully he'll make it to Catfish safely. Don't just.
And everything's just dropping arrows today.
Yeah, I mean it's like we were so in suspense for waiting what the last item is in pod from the big chest, and of course, what was it gonna be? It's gonna be 10 arrows. Alright, Paradox definitely taking a bit more care. Of course, old man also has 10 arrows. Yeah, of course.
I wonder what he was doing with them. Like, he was sitting lost in a cave and, oh yeah, I have 10 arrows in my pocket.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's gonna be able to use them, right? So may as well give it to somebody who at least has a bow.
So what's on Spec Rock that we can't get without the mirror? Vanilla. Zelga just going straight for the item because otherwise why did he come up here?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else for him up here. He's gonna save me quick regardless. Alright, what does Catfish has? Oh! That is payout for Paradox! That is very, very important. So that is actually our real Dark World access, minus Akina, or minus the main Hyrule Castle portal, but that's gonna basically give us open up a lot more for us.
Yeah, but basically we have the two halves of the lower Dark World separated that we have to use Cac Portal for the western part and Aga Portal for the eastern part.
Yeah.
Looks like here's where Zelga's doing the Ancilla glitch.
Yeah, so most likely this is going to be probably some number of flipper checks, but of course we know that Zora is in logic, so he's just probably going to try and combine as many convenient out-of-logic checks as he can.
But unfortunately for him, Catfish is hard required, so he's going to have to make it up there at some point.
Yeah, meanwhile, Paradox has taken his mitts, and he is going actually to explore something in real Dark Worlds.
Yeah, so Skullwoods is a pendant, which means it probably has progression, because pendant Skullwoods always has progression except when it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looks like the Paradox is not going to be super interested in there quite yet. Village Valcast is going to look pretty appealing. We've got Chess Game, Tea House, Brewery, 3 easy, pretty fast checks.
Probably even think about doing Thieves without the hammer at this point.
Yeah, certainly, and yeah, like front 4 is also very reasonable. At least take a peek in, see how things are, and then make a decision, after a certain number of items you found. Okay, successfully fake flippered on Zelga's side. The Waterfall Fairy. Okay, so we have our first bottle. That could be something.
Sick Kid may have something. In the meantime, we get green goo from the fairy. It's better than a bee.
Oh yeah, especially when they've already got multiple sources. Okay, so Paradox also finding an empty bottle. So unfortunately, we don't have the mirror, so we can't actually make a convenient Sick Kid check yet. So we'll have to come back. But I mean, I'm sure they'll be back here for Kakariko. If nothing else, maybe they'll activate the flutes. Maybe they'll do Smith Chain because they don't have the mirror yet, right? Lots of potential comebacks here.
And what's 500 rupees gonna buy us today?
Oh, that's also pretty well. Okay, so we don't
combine
know.
Zora and Catfish, and we're in business.
Yeah, I mean, so like the flute is really, really nice. Meyer is technically a pendant, so it may not be hard required. However, the fact that we actually have some sort of overworld mobility is going to be pretty nice for Zelga.
Yeah, if nothing else, that's 2 checks in Meyer's shed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and. Mm-hmm.
Well, Zelga needs to go to Catfish, or Paradox needs to go to Zora first.
I'm tempted to say that that Zelga's gonna get funneled into Catfish like sooner rather than later. Versus Paradox may or may not actually get funneled into Zora.
Yeah, because I think Catfish is the only thing Zelga can do at this point. At least within the realm of, glitches that are allowed in NMG. nice gift from Sick Kid, not progression, so Zelga is very definitely funneled to Catfish now. So did we get anything in the front of Thieves? Bandman, our tracker, saying nope. So we do have a small key, so this check is in logic, but it was just bombs anyway. So I wasn't counting items in Thieves, though. I'm assuming there's at least one dungeon item left in the back here, but I really wasn't counting. There are Zelga's mitts in any case. Wonder if he'll check Mire Shed just because. Okay, so nothing really useful in Thieves. Blind may still have something. And we just have to hope we're not orphaning anything important down there. So yeah, here is our Mire check, which is interesting because even if Mire's quick, we can't get in without the boots or the hook shot. And it's Bombos, so no risk there. Just as happy not to be able to get into a pendant dungeon.
Yeah, so of course, though, we may see Bombos potentially for entry into Ice Palace, because we still don't have that. Dang it!
The key is always under the doormat, isn't it?
Oh, man. All right, okay, we're just gonna pretend that it's entry to Ice Palace, and not Mire. And of course, Zelga does have a rule where, if you are lacking a fire source, and you have Bombos, it's gonna be an Ice Palace. So.
But he's probably not gonna rush to fake flipper to Ice Palace without either the hookshot or the cane.
Yeah, or the hammer. Yeah, we're a little bereft on items here for making any real progress in Ice Palace. But of course, the game has never been known to be of convenience to you. Where there's progression, it can be in the single one least convenient place, and you have to go there.
And meanwhile, Paradox gets, hard to believe, the first crystal of the game at the 41-minute mark.
Good job, Paradox. way to make progress.
Zelga's opening Thieves, but not going in. And yeah, since Blind had the compass, I believe there is an item left in the big chest that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So I assume Paradox will now grab the Smith and take him on a bit of a tour before doing Stumpy and Hype Cave.
Yeah, this is very reasonable. Mirrorless Smith chain is never pleasant, but sometimes if the mirror is just hiding in this chain, right, this is something you have to do.
Right, and also we're going back to CAC anyway because Paradox hasn't checked Sick Kid.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did find that empty bottle in C-shaped house. There we go.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Yeah. Probably not quite the Village of Outcasts, but I guess we don't know if anything has any other new shops have opened.
So, Hype Cave may actually have progression today just because we've seen such precious little progression anywhere else.
Yeah, talk about breadcrumbs, right? We just have, at least we got the mitts, right, from Catfish. And, that actually opened up, I least a bit more of the world. But yeah, it's just like the seed is like here's a progression item. It opens up like 3 or 4 more checks. So go to those 3 or 4 places. Oh, okay, like here's another item. Just kind of like stringing us along.
And junk so far. Oh, the
Oh, all right. That is. It doesn't matter what else is in that hype cave. We have boots. We can go fast. What an unfortunate place for boots because we had to walk all the way over here because we have no hammer. Or it didn't even help us.
So that gives us Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb. It gives us Landmows and Desert, or maybe the remaining items in the big chest. Either way, one more item in Desert. Oh, and it does mean we can get into Mire, though Paradox doesn't know that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Zelga's really itching to go to Mire, as you said, right? Because it is a pendant, even though we do have the entries for it. But it does look like he does have better options, right? Desert is a fully clearable crystal at this point, from his perspective.
Right, but it only has one more item in it.
Alright, we're getting. This is Hype Cave, chest turn from Zelga.
Just question in chat: Flute was at Zora. So, okay, nothing really doing there. Paradox is checking Lumberjack, which I totally forgot about, but since we had to do Aga, that is an available item.
Yeah, I think actually this is the first. This is our only check, right? Zelga hasn't come up here yet?
Right. So I imagine he'll be doing Lumberjack as well. So, again, we're running out of checks. We'll turn in the Smith. And then there's that one remaining item in Desert. There's the purple chest, which again is horrible to do without the mirror. And other than that, we might have to go into Mire. Oh yeah, there's Skullwoods. Right, no one's done the front of Skullwoods yet, which is also a pendant.
Oh, these options that you've listed down sound so great, Drosy. Let me flip a coin to see which pendant dungeon I should get first. Yeah, so we're 40. Oh, are we getting a pet check immediately on Paradux's side?
Couch cash.
Yeah, so no better or worse than the prize that we got for defeating Agna.
So, yeah, do we think the Smiths will have anything? And I guess Paradox will get his half magic here. And look at all these blue guards, as you were saying. That's a nice reward for beating Aghanim. They're just everywhere.
That blue sword isn't even helping us. Speaking of, right, so there are 4 swords in the pool, right? We got a Master Sword pretty early, right, in Kakariko, and 1 in Escape, and we have not seen anything else.
Not the Smiths, so... Yeah, Paradox can also go to Zora and get his flute, because he's got even fewer options than Zelga does, but we've basically got front and middle of Skull Woods, one more item in Desert. Desert makes sense because that's a crystal we can actually get. And Mire.
Yeah, we're actually already seeing some pretty good payout, for Zelga picking up that flute, right? Because he was just able to flute to 6. Look, there's another red guard for some reason in Kakariko. And Paradox, if he wants to go to Desert, which is certainly an option for him, it's certainly going to be less convenient because he has to either save and quit or something and run over there. But it looks like he's going to opt to probably do the front of Skullwoods instead. Or maybe Purple Chest. But I guess, we haven't actually seen anything from North Dark World, right? We haven't taken a peek at Bumper Ledge yet either.
Right, though we don't have a cape anyway.
Right.
So progression's not in Desert. That was our second item.
What a surprise! It was 10 arrows. Trust me. we should. Yeah, it's if there's an unknown item somewhere, we should just assume it's 10 arrows. Oh, that red Bari man! Just.
Zelga is not even bothering to do Landmows at this point. I guess he knows he's gonna have to get the mirror at some point because Swamp's a crystal. He knows that he can therefore get back and do land mows with the flute and the mirror, so I can see that.
Yeah, and maybe he would like just slightly better offense. You know, I am always a fan of seeing some NMG bow Lambo that may not be Zelga's cup of tea. But as you said, Drosy, right? We've got both items in the desert. It's just we have to come back at some point to clear the crystal. What did we find? Sorry.
That was the mirror.
That is a very important find if that's the case.
So, Pendant Skullwoods, as I was saying, always has progression.
Yeah, that's going to be a really nice find for Paradox, and of course shortly after for Zelga, as soon as he, you know, makes his way to the front of Skullwoods.
That now gets us access to Tower of Hera and Ether Tablet, as well as things like Graveyard Ledge and Cave 45, and makes Purple Chest a whole lot easier.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good thing Zelga didn't go do it immediately. Did you catch that? Oh, well,
yeah, Bumper Ledge is vanilla.
Okay. Okay, so the theme of the scene so far is either vanilla or 10 arrows. Got it. Okay.
Right. Lots of vanilla pieces of art today. So Zelga, having stolen a key from the back, will be getting his mirror shortly. And our first mirror check is Graveyard Ledge from Paraducks.
So Zelga eventually is gonna go over there and get his dungeon prize item. It looks like, you know, like he and not dungeon item. Oh, I guess the other item too. Okay. Yeah, but it looks like he and Paradox unfortunately had kind of similar issues getting over to the big chest.
And Zelga's just gonna take the Death Warp anyway because he was getting low on health.
Yeah, no, that's just totally reasonable. Even with 4 hearts, like, might have been a little iffy, but the fact that he got hit, like, immediately, it just makes sense.
And so Paradox is gonna do several Smith Chain checks. He's got Purple Chest here, and he could do Cave 45 and Bombos in with it, only he is not because he's going to forfeit his Mirror Portal to do Magic Bat.
We are going to kind of see what ends up kind of happening. So there is some maybe minor concern that the hammer picks might be orphans at this point. Oh, that's pretty important.
that was important. That early powder paid off.
Yeah, that's a really good decision. You know, for better or for worse, on Paradox's side, that ice rock could like literally be anywhere, and we are really glad we found it on the earlier side.
Yeah, and for those of you who didn't tune in at the beginning, that powder was in Link's house, so we've been sitting on that wondering if it led to anything the entire game.
I guess early powder, just like early mushroom, is very suspicious, right? Oh man, alright, so yeah, so not only, okay, so we pick up Ether, so that might be a requisite for Turtle Rock, we don't know.
Right, 1 in 3 chance we need it.
Yeah.
We now know where all the coins are. Now, Paradox may finish Desert here because he knows Myers a pendant. He doesn't know if the flute's going to show up.
Yeah, and the fact that he just found the Ice Rod, right, which also does the same damage as the Fire Rod, which is Temper Sword. It's just slightly different timing, but like he might feel comfortable, you know, basically defeating Lambos with that. Zelga, meanwhile, picking up the Mushroom, which is a great another fetch quest to see. Although he has a flute, so it's not as bad.
Yeah, and since he has the powder, he doesn't have to worry about, like, saving it for fake powder or anything. Simultaneous big key grabs here. But we don't have the hookshot, so we're going to have to go up Hera the vanilla way. And hope that we don't find a small key on the climb.
Yeah, and you know, seeing the big key, like in the whatever first 2 checks of Hera is always something really nice, regardless of whether or not you have hookshot, because you just don't want to sit through that basement. Nice Beatles room on Zelga's side.
Yeah, nice how he timed that dash as the door opened when the game finally registered that beetle falling. Yeah, Paradox may never get that flute for all we know. Zora's pretty orphaned, especially without the flippers.
So no items so far. Or sorry, one item so far here in Hera.
Right, so 50-50 that it's either Moldorm or the basement for the second item.
Okay, so certainly hoping for their sake that it is just going to be on Moldorm. And if it's not, we're gonna see if Zelga wants to sit through Hera Basement for that last remaining item.
Yeah, we still don't have the hammer or the hookshot, which would open up both East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain. Oh, okay.
Speaking of, alright, so thanks Moldorm, you are a really great friend today, giving us that hookshot. So, you were saying something about access to East Death Mountain?
Yeah, well, I think I know where Zelga's gonna go next.
Alright. And yeah,
Ice Rod timing's a bit tough on Landmos, but Paradox has plenty of magic with that half magic.
yeah, you know, it's probably not. It just probably just takes some getting used to as well. Yeah, but meanwhile, so you know, really nice that Zelga, you know, found the mirror early in Pendant Skull Woods, right? With that mirror and the hookshot, we are basically going to get like everything on Death Mountain.
We're also going to find out soon whether that ether medallion from Purple Chest is worth anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's the cape, which gives us logical access to Spike Cave once we have the hammer.
Yeah, it's certainly nice to remember that you need the hammer for Spike Cave. Alright, so we have a third sword. That's certainly really nice sight for sore eyes.
You know, it felt like that blue guard coming up behind Paradox was coming up to like surprise tickle him. It seemed like a coochie coochie coo sort of moment.
No, we still obey social distancing here in Hyrule. We don't want anything near us.
So now we'll get Super Bunny Cave. We can't use the Turtle Rock portal because, again, we don't have the hammer, so Zelga had to use that portal at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that Zelga does. If he finds the hammer, he'll try and end his route in Spike Cave. Other than that, where are we headed next?
Yeah, even if we can open... Even if we did find the hammer and do have the medallions to open Turtle Rock, we can't go in without Samaria. And it's Bombos.
It is Bombos. Okay, yeah, so...
That means the flute is required.
Oh, you're right, because we found it in Fire Shed! Oh, okay. Paradox, I really hope that you go back to Zora. You have lots and lots of money.
Well, maybe that mushroom will kind of put him in sort of the neighborhood.
Yeah, thinking about some fake flippering. Oh, Zelda finds the fire rod. Okay, so that's also pretty dang useful. That can let us get into ice for real.
Though we still don't have the hammer to finish it. Of course, nothing says the hammer can't be in ice. It's been there before.
Yeah, we are still looking for flippers as well. You know, in order to at least get logical access into Ice Palace.
Right, so the hammer means we can't finish pod, the hammer means we can't finish ice, and flippers means we can't logically finish it anyway. Can't do TR, can't do swamp without flippers or hammer.
Yeah, talk about like just getting funneled into like the, you know, next one piece of progression.
It's just impressive that, like, We're at almost the hour mark, and there are only 3 crystals available to us, which the 2 runners between them have.
I guess we can go finish off Skull Woods. Great.
Didn't we find both items there?
Oh yeah, so right, we did. And oh yeah, and we know that pedestals is just couch cash. So yeah, so we're never gonna go back to the woods ever again.
Zelga doesn't know Ped's couch cache, but I don't think he's in a rush to do Moth. If anything, he'll do Purple Chest here, and then the question is, will he also sacrifice his mirror portal to... oh no, he's going into Thieves Town first. That makes sense. But yeah, well, he sacrifices mirror portal to the Bat King.
Yeah, and it's certainly at this point, you know, for Zelga to most likely full clear this, like, he has done so much, basically, without the, like, and the hammer is just basically kind of, like, nowhere to be found, right? He probably, if the small key does show up, right, and there's 1 item left, you know, chances are it's probably not going to be, you know, something that is like the hammer or something that leads to the hammer.
Hey, and the hammer could still be in Cave 45 or on Bombos, which were things we couldn't check after sacrificing that mirror portal.
Yeah, that's very true. I wonder if Zelka's gonna try and combine that then, if that's the case. And I think that, you know, because we have Bombos, at least on Zelga's side, we do have some potential of play into Pendant Mire.
Yeah, which also goes back to Paraducks is going to find out in the next couple of minutes that Turtle Rock is Bombos, and what's that going to lead him to do?
At some point, the flippers have to show up, right?
I mean, at some point, the hammer has to show up.
So wouldn't it be fun? I mean, by fun, I mean totally not fun. Is like the hammer shows up at the first chest of Swamp.
If the flippers show up first?
Yes. That was a really nice dash, though, on Zelka's side in Thieves Town. Did get a pretty good lineup, of course, and needs a little bit of enemy cooperation, but otherwise he was able to dash the entire way without having to stop.
Yeah, always nice when you can make it through the hellway without problems. I didn't actually see what was on Floating Island. I assume it was nothing since Zelga didn't get it.
Yeah, I think it was 3 bombs. It looked blue. But not the flippers blue.
So Paraducks also doing slightly different routing. I don't know if he forgot he has the mirror, because the routing Zelga did for East Death Mountain, Light and Dark is the more typical routing you'd see.
Yeah, dead rocks really aren't anybody's friend today.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You go through the portal when you first get over there, and you don't have to do another pass through the dead rocks.
Alright, so Zelga coming up on his blind fight. Tempered Sword with the Fire Shield. I think he has lots of safeties with him. This should be fine.
So this is going to even up the crystal count between these 2 runners. 2 crystals at an hour or 2.
Yeah, 2 crystals and a pendant. At least on Zelga's side. Paradox giving the news that he does need to find 1 more medallion. We of course know where it is, but Paradox really importantly needs to go visit Zora so he can buy the flute, because we found that Bombos was in Mireshed.
And Zelga has the mirror out, so it looks like he is going to check Magic Bat here. As Paradox picks up that Fire Rod.
Yeah, at least for Zelga, this might be, you know, like he can check Magic Bat, so this is going to be really good news for him. He's going to be able to find that Ice Rod, so he knows he doesn't go on a hunt. he also has the advantage of having that flute, so he can just flute back to 3 or, or 7, right, to turn that purple chest immediately. Oh, is this gonna be Zora for Paradox? This is gonna be really good if he decides to go for here. Oh, looks like it's gonna be a combination of Mushroom and hopefully Zora after this.
And we'll get a prediction out because we know those flippers have to show up and that hammer has to show up. Which one first? Chat's suggesting flips on Argus. That would be a neat trick. Okay, so now Zelga... Oh, he's... Okay, he's gonna finish Desert since he's in the area, then he'll probably do Checkerboard, then I guess go into Mire.
Yeah, and the fact that, he picked up a Fire Rod, and he has half magic, this is certainly probably much more preferred and familiar fight to him. So, Landmouse, in theory, should go down pretty quick.
Paraducks trying to set up Ancilla for the Waterfall Cave. Doesn't really need that, though he does get the glitch.
Well,
We'll find out it's useless.
Yeah. More than anything, he's gonna just buy his peace of mind at this point. It's not only kind of like a little morale boost, right? Oh yeah, I finally got the big flipper, I don't have to leave anything behind at this point. And he's gonna be really happy to see, or at least to be able to buy the flute off of Zora, which we know is 100% required.
And Zelga's gonna have a nice easy time of Landmos with this Fire Rod. Except that he spent a bit of time doing that spin so he doesn't get the 0 cycle. But still, nice clean fight.
And just like that, Zelga has claimed his 4th crystal. Paradox, picking up his flute, gonna be very, very happy that he sees it.
That was Zelga's 3rd crystal.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, you're right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
We still have 4 crystals
yeah,
that
you're
are
right.
hammer locked.
That is, yeah. I mean, it's like an hour and 5 in, and we still only have 3 crystals.
I hope Armos Knights and Green Pendant aren't hanging over Paradux's head.
He has at least had a lot of progression, and it's actually been quite a while since he at least had that unfortunate death in Eastern. So hopefully most of this shaken off. And yeah. he has lots of stuff to do.
Probably what he's thinking at this point is, if there was something on Armos Knights or Green Pendant, I've already lost, so I'm not going to bother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and certainly right. He isn't hurting for things to do. Right, he doesn't feel like he necessarily has to go back. He just got the flute. He's gonna check Mire Shed. Right now he's gonna see his bombos. Check the shed, he's gonna get bombos, and he'll be happy.
I'm just wondering about K45 and Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, I wonder when they're gonna go back there. Because normally you would try and go back there, on your way to Swamp maybe, or on your way to turn in the purple chest, right? And right now, that's kind of inconvenient for them. Zelga demonstrating a really nice execution on Mire 2 with a combination of sword beams, fire rod, and boots.
Yeah, so just to give a recap to those of you who haven't been watching from the beginning, we were funneled into Aga really quickly. No gloves, no hammer, no hook shot, nothing that could let us do anything except pod, where we finally found the first glove. And that led to the second glove on Catfish, and that started to open things up, but we're still missing that freaking hammer. Oh, French Vanilla Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, what a surprise. We have the cane. You're inside Misery Myers, one of our 2 items. So so we're certainly hoping that you're going to find the other item before, but are you going to stay and fight Beatrice with the other item?
By the way, that does make this an Uppsala Dungeon seed, because the Moon Pearl was in Eastern and the Mirror was in Skull Woods.
Oh. I'm sure these guys are thrilled, Rossi.
At least we know if we find the second item before Vidi, we don't have to go to Vidi.
Yeah, I guess so that is good that we do find the big key not in cutscene chest. But I guess like the question is, right, if you end up finding no more items here before Vitreous, like do you go and kill Vitreous? Because at this point Turtle Rock is open too, right? With the King of Samaria?
Right. Yeah, and I probably do cutscene chest before I think about Vitreous because, you know, yes, it... Oh, never mind. There we go.
Never mind. Wow, what a loading mire, man. Like, we just needed boots and or hook shot in order to get it. So we have basically like progression just rushed us.
So we are flips from Go mode, and on Zelga's side, and Paraducks is about to be flips from Go mode within another couple of minutes. Hopefully he doesn't do fire-locked mire.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as familiar with Paradox's mire, I guess, like, key routing or mire dungeon routing. I know that, you're right, like, some people tend to want to save cutscene chest for absolute last.
Wait, did Paraducks skip the cane? Yeah, he didn't... I didn't see him go in there. Our tracker bandman is confirming he somehow skipped Spike Room chest. Compass in the compass chest. At least he's not going for cutscene. He just needs to remember that he skipped the chest that usually runners do pretty quickly in Mire.
I was gonna say, isn't that normally like the first or second check that they do, depending on?
Well, hopefully he'll take that big key, take it to the big chest, get his hammer, and then continue around and get Samaria, because otherwise, if he doesn't, the race is over.
Maybe we'll see some quick swapping here in order to help us out, or maybe he'll menu.
Okay. No! No, Paradox! Oh, Shot's saying he got it.
I'm certainly hoping that he did. Like, okay, so we definitely see it on his menu. Thank you for pausing a menu thing and confirming to us.
Paradox, you fooled both comms and the tracker, but thank you, chat, for catching it.
All right, this is this taking that cane and hammer. We actually saw on Zelga's side earlier on as a preview. We're going to be able to use that cane to get through the statue room just a little bit faster, and then of course take the hammer in order to just pound Helma's sword down and claim our next crystal.
Yeah, and we also know Helma has an item, so 2 for 1. Maybe it's the flippers.
Zelga had a really nice Helma basement, or pod basement. So, our 17 hits to the face with the hammer to break the helmet. And then with Temper Sword, he can just slash him 4 times. Doesn't even need an arm spin speed. This should be a pretty, safe and easy fight.
Yeah, so Paradox about 2 minutes behind here because he does have to go through the cutscene and everything. But still well within range. Yeah, amazing that, like, when they finally got Divergence, they sure diverged, and here they've come right back together.
Yeah, and, with Flipper's Go mode, right? So, we don't have to touch Swamp Palace or Ice Palace at all. So thank goodness we never actually had to go dip into Ice Palace for anything. Because, like, if we're only looking for flippers, they can't logically be in those dungeons. So it looks like Zelga is just following the slew of breadcrumbs that the seed has been basically giving our runners the entire time. Getting deck rocked in the process, of course, is not part of the plan. But we are headed up to Turtle Rock, which most likely this is going to be where our flippers are. And
if not, then I guess you check Spike Cave while you're up here.
Yeah, you can check Spike Cave. I mean, there are, so as you said, also before Drosy, right, we've got K45, we've got Bombo's Tablet. Not particularly appealing checks, right, but they are going to be at least, like, in the area once we kind of finish with Turtle Rock.
Right. The thing is, like, from Paraduck's perspective, he basically needs divergence because he's not going to out-execute Zelga.
Yeah, especially the fact that he is right now trailing Zelga, right? It's going to be pretty difficult for him to make up time if there's, as you said, no divergence.
Right. I mean, maybe that divergence will just be GT Big Key. Who knows? I've certainly seen races won and lost based on different routings of GT Basement. But he's going to have to do something differently from Zelga because if he just follows his footsteps, there's no way he catches up. That said, we're at 4 crystals apiece now.
Yeah, Zelga inside Turtle Rock, doing well to not slash that Bari, just taking the damage. He does, so if you just take the damage, you don't actually get knocked off the conveyor belt. If you try to slash the Bari and he decides to electrocute you, right at that time, guess what? You get to start that room over.
Yeah, and he didn't have enough time to get the hook shot out or anything. Ooh, 2 keys right side, interesting. And yeah, for the moment, Paraducks is right behind, still about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Oh no. These dead
Maybe-
rocks. Oh my gosh.
Maybe more than 2 minutes with the dead rocks. Oh, and there's the flippers.
Yeah.
1:14:40, Zelga is in go mode.
Alright, so once Paraducks, finds his way past the dead rocks and into Turtle Rocks, he's also going to be in go mode pretty shortly. And then at this point, it is a go mode swamp, which is lightning fast, and a go mode ice palace with the Canis Maria that also should be pretty fast as well. And I guess for what it's worth, because the flippers were early, it's going to be a go mode Turtle Rock. They don't have to do Mimic Cave, at least.
Yeah, and that big key's early, so we can skip Lava Chest.
Execution certainly is going to be, pretty important from here on out because, go mode basically means that route is pretty set for you. That being said, we are in Turtle Rock. Health is probably not at the peak, and this dungeon is pretty dangerous.
Hey, at least there are 12 hearts, and they got powder, as Zelga just showed us.
Yes.
Lots of anti-fairies to powder in this dungeon.
Good thing they found powder in the very first chest of Link's house. Not only can they use it, at least to replenish some of their health here in Turtle Rock, right? They needed to get that ice rod.
And Paraducks gets his go mode just less than a minute and a half after Zelga, but he still has to get those 2 small keys from the right side, so he's not quite within a minute and a half, but still about 2 minutes.
Yes, we did see Zelga trying to line up and kill those 2 Pokies. Actually did a pretty reasonable job, except of course he got sniped by the shooter. Which unfortunately means that he is not going to have sword beams for this room. Technically, if you have it, you could technically do it like half a second faster or something like that, but Zelga's got everything covered. And I guess like an upside of this being an Agassiz is that we got to see the lamp earlier, so no more dark rooms at least, right?
Yeah, after Paradux's unfortunate death in Eastern, which actually, a la Gamachu, wound up saving him a little bit of time.
Sometimes the game is just there, to tell you, you know what, you don't need to keep going. It's okay. Go do something else.
Hey, and there's our small key in the first chest of Laser Bridge, so we don't even have to do the rest of the bridge.
Oh yeah, no, that's super nice. Yeah, so Zelga's got tempered, he's got 12 hearts at this point. There is, like, nothing else that can help him that he needs in order to finish the rest of the game.
Yeah, he's even got the nice safeties like Half Magic and Powder.
And the bug net.
Yes! Don't forget that bug net, just in case we want fairies.
Yeah, seeing some nice backdoor strats from Zelga to take down Trinex, so if done properly, you can guarantee a one cycle. Not always, of course, the easiest, just because you don't have that pause buffer in order to get it back, but Zelga does a really nice phase one.
Well, what I always find the most impressive there is when runners can get off 4 slashes on a single ice rod hit to the firehead like Zelga did.
Yeah, very well practiced. Obviously, high execution, from a runner such as Zelga. Really nice phase two as well. Got some spins in with that last slash, so very fast kill on Zelga's side.
So Paraducks also skipping the big chest here. Won't lose him any time, but won't gain him any time. Oh,
yeah.
except he's having trouble in Crystal Roller Room. Yeah, so if the big chest happens to have had that other small key, he could have theoretically saved a small amount of time getting it, but this is the more standard routing.
Yeah, we actually, so Paraducks actually recovered pretty well in the Crystal Roller Room. We actually saw how much damage those crystal rollers hit, which was 3 hearts apiece, per hit, and that room, as you said, like as you can see, like can get out of hand pretty quickly.
So now Zelga's entering his Go Mode Swamp, or, well, pulling the dam first.
Yeah, Paradox isn't taking any chances on Laser Bridge. Pulling out the cave, very, very reasonable. You also do get a full magic refill right before you kill Trinex.
I wonder if he'll powder an anti-fairy coming through here. No, he's avoiding the anti-fairy. I mean, he's still, he'll get an extra heart here, so that's 9.5 hearts for Trinex. Oh, he didn't take the magic refill you were mentioning. He does have half magic, but...
Looks like Paradox is just opt to wait for the Firehead to come out. Also fine, normally has to do backdoor strats. It's just kind of a guarantee in order to get a one cycle, but doesn't mean you can't get it if you also just do front door. It looks like he unfortunately didn't get all of the head hits in the first time, but it's going to be a pretty fast
one shot on the Firehead short of the one cycle.
Yeah.
The ice head, sorry.
At least he has lots of health. We did see that Trinex, does 4 hearts of damage per hit, and because of course the game is expecting to have blue mail at this point, so everything just hits so much harder.
So let's see, Zelga entering back of Swamp at 120.55. Let's see what the time difference is here.
Yeah, it's super fast. Zelga basically just made his way. So with Canis Amaria, he can do Diver Down, which I expect this to be pretty well practiced. And just like that, we can walk on water.
Oh, Paradox is doing ice first, so I guess we won't get a sense of the time difference at this point until they're climbing Death Mountain.
My guess is that Zelga's going to finish Swamp before Paradox is going to be able to finish Ice.
Considering Zelga is entering Argus here, I'd say yes.
I'm actually not going to be sure what's faster, because, Zelga decided to do Swamp first, so after this, he's just going to be able to run over to Ice, or maybe Flute. Paradox, for sure, after Ice is going to have to mirror, and then at least Flute before. Or maybe, just in the long run, it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, I probably would have done Swamp first. It seems like slightly easier routing.
Yeah, so Zelga, being in basically being like go mode, like everything, yeah, looks like he's just going to run over to Ice. Like, this is something he's probably very used to. my guess, right? He's a spoiler log. Does a lot of spoiler log. This is just basically right up his wheelhouse. You know, the fact that he has temper sword and half magic should be pretty. He should be pretty comfortable with all this.
Yeah, I'm assuming Paradox opened the vanilla big key chest just in case he got a small key there. He didn't have to lift the block in the next room. But yeah, Zelga is not very far behind Paradox here, and Paradox still has Swamp to go.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely seeing some really good execution though being put on display.
And I guess Paradox's best hope is probably if Zelga saves Compass Room for last, and Paradox does Compass Room early, and the big key's in Compass Room.
Oh, you mean in terms of GT big key
Yeah,
location?
I'm just thinking, like, given that Paradox isn't going to overtake Zelga on execution unless something really strange happens, I'm thinking what his best chance for catching up is.
Yeah, well, I mean, Paradox does have a pretty nice cold stare fight. Was slightly surprised he said he used bombos, but you know, because he does have half magic with the fire rod. But you know, can't argue with results, right? Cold stare
Right,
goes
I
down
mean,
pretty
that was
quickly.
always nice when you keep them over there on the right there. Yeah, so now, as we were saying, you know, Zelga was able to dash over really fast. Paradox is going to have to flute to 4, get back into the Dark World.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think Zelga's probably going to finish Coldstare before Paradox decides to enter or gets into Swamp. So most likely, just by estimate, he looks like a Go mode Swamp behind. Alright, Zelga probably with the more classic Coldstare takedown, probably more familiar with NMG, just fire rod to break out the shell and then just 6 slashes to kill all the puffs. Really, really nice fight.
And with that, grabbing the crystal at about 125.23, Zelga has all 7 crystals, so you can start spamming those numbers in chat or making a prediction with points on where the GT big key will be.
You know, Drosy, it seemed so distantly in the past when we were at like, I don't know, like 50-some minutes and we were only at like, I don't know, 3 crystals or something like that. And now, you know, it's like, before I know it, Zelga's already on his way up to Ganon's tower because he has all the crystals.
Yeah, I mean, Meyer really progressed us in a hurry.
Oh yeah, that's true. We literally got like one like progression item per sphere. Is like, okay, now you can go to the next thing, and then suddenly Meyer decides to have both the Canyon of Samaria for us, which allowed us entry to Turtle Rock and the hammer, which let us basically finish everything else.
So yeah, where are you thinking the big key will be today?
Rando room? I don't know.
I'm kind of thinking Rando Room too, but having said that, it'll probably be Hope Room or something silly.
You know, that would also be fine. I'm trying to actually remember what like if Zelga has like a normal route. I want to see he goes right first to Hope Room, and then if there's a small key, he keeps going to Compass Room. Otherwise, he goes left. All right. So meanwhile, though, Paradox is already on basically at the back of Swamp. Looks like he's going to give us a demonstration of Diver Down as well. Also not going to pick up anything because he already has Temper Sword. He doesn't need anything else.
Hey, he even got the Cane of Burna out of ice.
Oh man. So many invincibility items. Looks like Paradox is pretty safe.
So you're correct that Zelga is going right first.
Alright, isn't it Hope Rope? Because we hope that the big key is here. Check 1. Check 2. we have hoped correctly that the big key is in fact in Hope Room. All right, check number 2. We do see that Zelga is going to the right because we do need at least one small key to progress upstairs, so we don't get locked out. Nothing on the torch, so we're just gonna get this one, the known one underneath the pot, and then head right on up.
Yeah, so unless something really strange happens, this is Zelga's game to lose.
Yeah, you know, so GT execution in the upstairs is certainly not easy. That being said, I would not want to face something like Zelga. I mean, for fun, like, you know, I think it would be great, right? Because Zelga's obviously a very awesome player, but, you know, if my tournament life is on the line, there is no way I want to pick Zelga as an opponent. Alright, Paradox finishing up Argus, actually making some very steadily progress. So with his 7th crystal claimed, he is also on his way up the mountain.
Yeah, so what's that now, about a 3-minute time difference?
Yeah, assuming he doesn't get Dead Rock, of course, on the way. I mean, these guys are just so painful. So Zelga does have to be a little bit careful in the gauntlet. I think he does have at least one safety, right? With something good in his bottle, like I want to say a blue potion. But I don't think he has a fairy, so he does have to be... Like, he can't be too reckless. It's like taking damage in gauntlet. Okay.
Yeah, now he turned down that bottle of blue goo in Checkerboard Cave. Paraducks took it. I believe right. Paraducks actually has 3 bottles now. So Zelga has slightly fewer safeties, but he's going to town on these land modes regardless.
Yeah, so half magic is certainly really helpful. The fact that he did get hit is also, I don't know, slightly nicer in that he doesn't have to deal with sword beams for the rest of the gauntlet. And of course, with the powder, and with at least now one empty bottle, and with the bug net, if Zelga wants to capture a fairy, like in the pre-Moldrum 2 room, he does have that option for him.
And Zelga being safe, conserving his magic here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he doesn't want to pick up the magic refill here in the next room and just fire the fire rod torches to hit torches too.
Well, it certainly means that he doesn't have to worry about Jingle Glitch when you get through that quickly.
Yeah. Alright, so Paradox made his way in GT. Looks like he is going to take the fastest route to the GT big key, which is really good. You know, at least for him, he's going to pick up his small key as well. And then it's up the gauntlet for him.
Just remarking, and yeah, I guess this is true, that since you have to go and lift those pots anyway, Lamp's probably faster at that point.
Zelga, confident that he is not going to die to Aghanim 2, does not open the chest for us as a safety, just in case he has to climb this place all over again.
I mean, I guess at this point it could have been a final piece of heart to give him one more heart container, right?
Oh, I don't know, Trossi, because we established that it's either 10 arrows or it's vanilla, so I'm calling, I'm being suspicious of your claim here.
Wow, that was a beautiful triple on Aga.
Oh, almost another triple. Unfortunately, we saw that blue balls are just as annoying for Aga 2 as they were for Actum 1.
But still, that's a 3-2-1, which is the optimal since Aga 2 is also seeded. Paraducks will get that same blue ball.
Yeah, just like Aghanim 1, when both runners got the same pattern. Same thing for Aghanim 2, and same thing for Ganon, actually. Like, for example, a number of warps. Assuming, of course, nobody dies.
And here we are on Ganon, who thinks we're in Zelda 2.
Alright, so Zelga, of course, with Temper Sword, going to go for the 1-1. Did get his spin off the Trident. And then found himself a little nice side. Going to take the safety dash inside the circle of fire bats.
Safety death?
Dashes.
Oh, dash.
Oh no, there's no safety in that.
Okay, I misheard you and I was like, what the heck is a safety death?
Oh no, not certainly. I would never wish death upon either of these guys. Especially after the seed.
Safety's in trouble. Paraducks having a bit of trouble in that last gauntlet room.
Man, G5 is never kind to anybody. It's like we did pull out that safety though. It does mean he's gonna get a slightly different pattern here for, or at least starting for Lambo 2, but I managed to at least take down 2 of them.
And Gannon's doing a lot of warps today, which, again, Paraducks will have to sit through as well.
Yeah, I think they actually got a lot of warps in their first game as well, so maybe this is just a reminiscent. Alright, Zelga, really nicely done getting that torch glitch with the fire rod. It does require a little bit of timing, but this is going to give him the time in order to land his triples in.
Yeah, and he also got one spin attack off before the torch even went out.
Yeah. It's almost as if he's like played this game once or twice or something.
You think? And especially as a spoiler runner, he is really used to Silverless Ganon because, and spoiler, you don't pick up silvers unless they're right on your way.
Yeah, and even then, it kind of depends on your definition of right on your way.
Well, and also how early in the game, but there goes Ganon in any case.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can do Silver Vitreous, then you have a bit more incentive.
Yeah, so of course, with this, Zelga is just waiting to cross this bridge to claim first place of our race today between him and Paraducks. So we can get an official time. 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 42 seconds. So with this win, it's going to be 2-0 on Zelga's side, and he is going to claim his spot in the round of 32 and advance in the next stage of the tournament. So get your GGs in chat here for Zelga. Paradox, though, not far behind whatsoever. He is actually going to face Aghanim 2 very, very quickly.
Oh, and Zelga will be facing Fear Agent in the next round as he joins us here. GG.
GG, Zelga.
Hey, GG, thank you.
Linear Seed much?
Yeah, this one was very stressful when I found certain items in places that I wasn't expecting. Like, the mirror in Skullwood made me feel really awful, but I mean, even before that, it was last location Aga access into last location mitts on Catfish. And then, yeah, when I went into Mire, I had Bombo's Tablet and K45 left for the other options left in the game. So just a lot of last locationing over and over again.
Well, last locating those mitts is probably one of the things that helped you win because in the process you got the flute.
Yeah, okay, that could make sense how that might have been a time difference. Because, yeah, I didn't want to go straight to Catfish. I felt like just going ahead and doing everything that I could with the glove in the light world made more sense. Like, you're getting the old man save point, if worst case scenario, and then checking out all the Zora stuff. Which I guess kind of feels bad when Flippers is your go mode doing all that stuff, but having that flute early, I could see where that would be a big help.
Yeah, because obviously it was required several times over, and by the time Paraducks got to that point, he had more things to check and was, going around. It was a while before he made it to Zora. So, yeah, that worked out well for you that, it made it easier for you to get to Mire. And, yeah, how about those pendant dungeons in progression?
Yeah, very stacked. I think, yeah, all 3 were required. 4 required items in pendants. That's not that different from game 1, actually. Just a lot of pendant progression.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll get a seed in the next round that's more conducive to sub 130.
At least you got some earlier swords this game.
Yeah, early swords are nice. It's always, like, when I saw the Master Sword and literally basically nothing else from Kakariko, I was just waiting for Aga access to show up, and then It was, again, last located on Desert Ledge, but I didn't feel too bad with how things were going in this seed, just because I kind of figured everyone was going to have that same issue up until the mirror, and I realized that a lot of people that aren't me probably went into Pendant Skull Woods a lot faster once they got those mitts.
Well, Paraducks didn't, so that was another thing that helped you out. He went to Village of Outcasts and Thieves, but it was a bit before he got back to Skull Woods, and I think you guys were in there at roughly the same time, in fact.
Okay,
So-
that's interesting. Yeah, the mirror is what really made me feel like, oh crap, this just went really wrong really fast. That was really the only first point where I thought it wasn't linear trash anymore. There was actually chances that I was significantly behind at that point.
Well, we've got Paraducks here on Phase 4 of Ganon after doing a nice set of bugnet strats on Aga 2, since he, by that point, realized he had already lost, so why not have some fun?
So, do you have any thoughts about going up against this guy named Fear Agent in the next round, Zelda?
You know, I know he's really good. I know he's a luck sacker, but you know, I'll need to do something about the luck, I think. But I fully expect it will be a great series.
Oh, I certainly don't doubt that whatsoever. Maybe try and find a couple of like rabbit's feet or something.
And there goes Paraducks through the door officially at 139.30, so GG to him, you know, well played. It's his first time in brackets, and he's joining us. GG.
GG's. You played really well.
Thanks. This seed was interesting. I fell behind when I found the mirror. Then I found the ice rod. It was weird.
Funny you should say that, because Zelga was just saying that he felt behind when he found the mirror.
I mean, we both did the play to not go Skull Woods, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like we both skipped Skull Woods for a very long time.
And I actually did want to ask, since you mentioned the Ice Rod Paradox, question for both of you. You're doing Purple Chest, you don't have the hammer. You basically have a choice. You can either use your mirror portal to check Magic Bat and lose the portal, or you can check Cave 45 and Bombo's tablet on your way over to turn in the chest. What made you each decide to take the Magic Bat option?
For me, I was just feeling like I got that mirror so late. I was trying to just get to things as fast as I possibly could, and getting the Magic Bat while I was on that screen and then fluting the Purple Chest just seemed like the faster option. And then, yeah, at that point, my options were still terrible afterwards, but at least there was a nice run.
Yeah, about the same. I just a small gamble. 1 item versus 2. It worked out in the end.
Only unfortunately you didn't have the flute at the time to quickly get the chest over.
Yeah, that's true. I got the flute late in the seed. I don't know why. Could have went to Zora way earlier. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough because, like, Zora and Catfish were both required, and you didn't have the mirror available when you went to Catfish, necessarily.
True. I mean, it's difficult to route when you have everything cleared in South Hyrule, and you don't really want to go to Zora just for without the flipper.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that was probably one of the biggest differences in the race, just that late flute probably more than anything else was the difference maker, I would say.
Yeah, I guess Paradox, were you, I guess, like worried at all when you went through Eastern the first time?
Yeah, that death in the dark room was pretty rough. I was just hoping there was no gloves or anything that could mean GG for me. Sure.
Yeah, luckily Zelga, checked it for us, and there was I think a 20 rupees turn in or something, and something else that wasn't important. So
Yeah, so I guess Paradox, I mean, this is obviously it for you in this tournament, but your first time in brackets, how are you feeling about your experience in the tournament?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy to reach bracket stage. I know last tourney I ended up in group, and I think I lost to Jacoper. So I'm pretty happy to have reached brackets. I know there's a lot of good players, and yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I looked up in the last tournament, you were in a group with Hitsuyan, J. Coper, and Christos Owen. So
Oh yeah.
you drew a really tough group last time around.
Yeah, I think Itsuyan beat me 2-0, and Jacob, I don't know. But this was definitely a tough group last tournament.
And you had quite a comeback against Kern this time in groups.
Yep, he beat me 2-0 in group, and then I beat him 2-0.
So yeah, if nothing else, that's your accomplishment for this tournament, being able to come back like that and make it into brackets.
yeah, it certainly does. I mean, at least from your execution, though, certainly absolutely no slouch. For you to also make it this far. I believe many people have said pretty much anyone can beat anyone in the top 64. So certainly, I think you put out a really good performance.
Thank you.
And yeah, and hopefully you'll come back next year.
Surely. I mean, I don't think I will retire for now, so we'll see for
All
the
right,
next tournament.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get a Zelda Paradox rematch.
Yeah, that sounds
So-
awesome. Let's do it.
I want to see GG to Zelga, and good luck against Fear Agent.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And GG's to you as well. I feel like these were both pretty hard fought, regardless of any time differences or anything. When rando, time difference basically means nothing. It's just randomness. So, yeah, definitely GG's for sure.
So we actually need to clear out of here because there is another race starting at 8 o'clock. On this channel, we will have Hollow Knight All Skills Tournament coming up in just a few minutes. And if you want to see more ALTTPR, well, that's over on SpeedGaming 3. We have the second match of a doubleheader between Ak the Boker and Ajder going on right now, and that'll be immediately followed by a match between GFE and TJ Maelstrom. So either stick around here for Hollow Knight or hop on over to SpeedGaming 3 for more ALTTPR. And again, thanks a lot to both of our runners. Be sure to give them both a follow.
Yeah.
And thanks to our tracker Bandman here, and thanks to my co-com Clearmouse. Always a pleasure working with you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was great. Actually, very very happy to be able to call this match, both with you, Drosy, and actually for you, Zelga, and Paradox. Actually, really excited was really looking forward to this match. So I'm really glad to see everything happen. Thank you so much for putting on such a great race for us.
And thank you guys for doing your commentary and the tracking, restreaming. Really appreciate being able to be showcased like this. Yo, and shout outs to this exact same collection rate.
Definitely, I was about to shout out the same thing. Yeah, you guys did basically all the same checks. So,
It felt like that kind of seed.
but we do need to clear out. So, thanks again to the runners, and thanks to all of you for watching.